Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Dallas. And I think the beautiful thing that you've seen with some of the discussions around partnerships today is really it can open your business up to new networks or new people that you can bring into your business. And that's a very nice segue into our next topic. This is the incredible Executive Regional Vice President, Jay Burke. He was our first Executive Regional Vice President male, as you can see. He's got a very successful financial background in terms of his own business, and he integrates that very well in terms of his Arbonne journey as well. So let's welcome Jay to the stage.
Thank you, Anthony. It's good to see such a full room. I'm feeling very much at home with all these kids and food and people lying around. It's very much like the Burke household. Now, I'm not talking about men in the business, but it would be remiss of me, after having listened to Jason, Anthony and Dallas, not just to say how proud I am that we today have... the first time I came to AAC, I think there were 5 men at AAC. And today we've had 4 men speaking in the one room, talking about how amazing this business is. So I think that is worth a round of applause. And listening, Dallas and Jason and Anthony, and have we not got a new cult figure in Anthony? Unbelievable. Hearing some of the themes that have been sort of coming out of my mouth over the course of the last sort of 4 years, and seeing that ripple effect now equate to as many the many men that I can see in the room today, I think is a testament to every single male and every single consultant that has taken that leap of faith to get their husbands involved, even if just in the sidelines, even if just supporting from the sidelines. I think it's very much our secret weapon. Men certainly make a big difference. I'm slightly biased in that regard. So I'm going to start today with a premise, and Arbonne head office asked me whose quote this was. It's mine. I just made it up. So my belief is that genuine conversation and communication has been hijacked by the power of networking. So you might have been coming here today thinking Jay's going to give me all the networking tips to sell my Arbonne business. Well, what I'd like to do is give you something that, regardless of what business you're in, you can actually take and apply. So I think networking has become, in many respects, a business transaction as opposed to the development of long-term relationships, human connection, and the movement of ideas worth sharing. And I've heard this theme, thankfully, said a couple of times, more than a couple of times in the presentations that I've heard today. So hopefully you also hear a few of those. And the intention today is not for you to stand or sit here while I stand here and tell you everything that I know, because I myself am still learning, and I'm definitely, even though Kari might call me or believe that I'm an expert on everything, I'm certainly not. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the long game. So in a world of sort of immediate gratification, information overload, and social media highlight reels of people's success, we're in a rush to arrive at success at any cost, or conversely at no cost. One destroys relationships, whilst the other creates no relationships at all. The middle ground, and what I believe is the road to success for nearly everything in life, is to first acknowledge that this business, that this life, is a long game. And I heard, it was great, for the VPs who are in the room, heard Linda talking about the long game in many respects over her journey, and many of the VPs, and hopefully that resonates with you as well. So the long game is built around long-term social interaction, social connection, and building genuine relationships over time. And I truly believe that connecting and supporting others first is the foundation stone for reciprocal connection and support in whatever you do. Arbonne, any business that you do. So if you can't see yourself in this business for the long term, then maybe it's not for you. Or maybe you just need to remind yourself of the previous successes and failures that you've had, as well as the time, the relationships, and the connections that got you there. So relationships and connections evolve. They build, they grow, they develop slowly over time. It's this big picture of the long game, which you can't always see without the benefit of hindsight. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a story, a little snippet, the long game on relationships and connections. So bear with me on this. So in 1994, I didn't want to go too far back. I was born in 1977. I'm 40 this year. I didn't go that far back. I was starting to turn into my father, who starts every conversation with when I was born or when I was 5. But in 94, I was playing football at a football club in Geelong called Bell Park, and I went to the gym because I wanted to get fit, and I met a guy by the name of Nigel, and he was a personal trainer, and I got along with him pretty well. In 96, I graduated from Western Heights Secondary College. I had a TER, a tertiary entrance ranking of 64. I failed entry into a physio degree at the University of Ballarat and reluctantly accepted my 5th preference as a health science degree at Deakin University. In 97, I needed a job to fund my way through uni, and Nigel, the guy that I'd met a few years earlier, was now a publican at the Gold Diggers Arms Hotel in Geelong, and he gave me a job pulling beers. In 97, whilst I was at uni and hungover, I copied the lecture notes from a girl named Melanie. In 2000, I graduated after 4 years of a 3-year degree with a nursing degree and was promptly declined entry into every grad position I applied for. Colette, who I knew through the pub, was a nurse unit manager at St John of God Hospital in Geelong, and she encouraged me to write to the Director of Nursing telling her that they'd made a mistake. I did, they agreed, and I was accepted into their graduate program. In 2001, my older brother passed away. I moved home to support the family, help raise my new nephew, and assist my dad, who had just started his own financial planning practice. In 2002, I became a partner of my dad's financial planning practice. In 2003, I played in a grand final premiership with the Bell Park Dragons with a guy called Brad. In 2004, I went to Japan on a boys' trip with my best friend Luke and his friend Blair. In 2005, I went to a nursing reunion dinner with Mel, the girl whose notes I copied. And after dinner, we went to Lammy's, also known as Last Chance Lammy's. Melanie introduced me to one of her friends, a shy, skinny surfer chick who worked at Speaky's surf shop, and her name was Kari. In 2008, I purchased a financial planning practice in Shepparton. We had a welcome reception, a networking evening, and I met a gorgeous little Italian couple named Tom and Josie. In 2010, I purchased another financial planning practice from a man named Bruce, again a guy who I met at the pub pulling beers. And in 2013, that gorgeous little Italian pocket rocket that was now a client of my financial planning business asked me how my wife's business was doing. That shy surfer girl I met in 2005 was my wife, mother of my 4 kids, ENVP Kari Burke. My 2003 premiership teammate Brad is husband to ERVP Amanda Martin. That friend of a friend who I travelled to Japan with in 2004 is ENVP Sally Ritchie's husband Blair. And that little Italian lady is none other than ERVP Josie Fratantaro, who led me to ERVP Sharon Baldwin, National Vice President Janine Harbrow, Regional Vice Presidents Felixa Boyd, Chips Goodfellow, Donna Williams, Lucy Goodfillan and Fiona Jasper. So, the point being that every moment, every single conversation, every relationship, good and bad, counts in your life. All right. Larry King also said, no one ever learned anything while talking, so I doubt that I'll learn much standing up here today. Dale Carnegie also said, to be interesting, first be interested. So every connection started with a conversation and a relationship. The person that's determined to succeed at any cost is asking questions with an agenda and a predetermined outcome that is more important than the relationship that they're happy to destroy. The person that hopes to succeed without effort, asks no questions and builds no relationships and wonders why they can't build a business. Assuming that you want to build networks, you want to build relationships and a business, the first step is to put yourself in a position to have actual human contact. So you're here at AAC, so you're ahead of the game already, and you are definitely in the minority. Now, I did actually ask for these stats. So there are 2,100 registered attendees here at AAC, and there's 30,000 registered consultants in Australia at the moment. So you here today are in the minority. So a bit of a round of applause. Well done. So start with listening. My recommendation, if connecting with people is not your strength, is too bad, you just need to start. So think of your job as an observer, in the moment with absolutely no agenda, no judgment, just to listen and to learn about who it is that you're speaking to. This doesn't mean be a mute. Obviously, there has to be some level of intimacy, some common ground found, and a conversation needs to go somewhere, but most times the simplest questions are the best. Introducing yourself, remembering someone's name. I'm going to have to tell this story. Carrie and I went to CrossFit this morning at CrossFit Gold Coast, and I'd been telling Carrie about my presentation, and this is really bad because I still can't remember his name. Yeah. The guy at the gym introduced himself to us, and at the end of the WOD, I went up to pay and I said, "Thanks very much for today, Rob." He said, "Yeah, it's Bo." So we can all learn. Ask people what they've been up to, where they're from, and what do you do with yourself? I mean, that's probably the easiest opener for someone is to ask them what they do, because what people inevitably do is they'll reciprocate and they'll ask you what you do. So listen, find common ground, find a way to connect, and importantly, connect others to others. So connect other people you know to other people that you know. So once you get comfortable with conversation, you begin to understand the power of questioning and the information and understanding that releases to you, the listener and observer. So my good friend Tim Ferriss, he's not really, I don't know him, read his books, says that questions are the pickaxes. Good questions are what opens people up, opens new doors and creates new opportunities. To begin with, it's putting yourself in a position to be around humans. Secondly, it's about interacting with those humans. And thirdly, understanding them. And the opportunity to share yourself will come, and if it doesn't, that's totally okay. So a question to everyone: could you possibly interact with 10 new people a week? Let's cross paths with 10 new people a week. 2 people a day, you get the weekends off, and be genuinely interested in who they actually are. So if you go out of your way to interact with 40 new people a month, if you do the math, with no expectation of sharing your business, in half of those conversations, you will inevitably share what you do because the person will reciprocate. In half of those conversations that you share what you do, people will want to know more. And of the 10 people that want to know more about you, you'll have 2 that want or need to do business with you. But what's cooler than the 24 people that will join your business over the course of 12 months is the 480 people who know who you are, the 240 people that know what you do, and the 120 people that you have a deeper connection and understanding with. This is your network for the long game. Where, when, and how these people will reappear in your life is an unknown, other than they will, because the relationship was not destroyed. Another little story, and I've got a couple of stories, and I don't have a counter because I'm last speaker, so I can go over time as much as I like. So I am a founding member of a committee in Geelong called the Geelong Young Professionals, and I'm actually just exiting the committee because I'm not feeling that young. I'm still feeling professional, but not that young anymore. But I'm a founding member, and Thursday, a month ago, we had Keith Abraham. For those of you that came to GTC, you listen to Keith, he's fantastic. So this community attracts people, like-minded people, generally wanting to learn and better themselves. But what amazes me is that people still come to a networking event with an expectation of just getting business, of just rolling in the door, sitting down, not speaking to anyone, and getting business. Or they come with their sales pitch plastered, and they're looking for the entry point for them to pitch their business, and again wonder why they have no success. I've been on that committee for 10 years now, and it's the people that have been repeat offenders in terms of coming back year in, year out, that are the people that are with high standing, with reputable business, that people continue to go to. At this particular event, whilst everyone was, arranging pens and, handing out notepads, not wanting to talk to anyone, I grabbed the bowl for business cards, plonked myself at the front reception where everyone came in, and just made a point of introducing myself to everyone that came in the door. Some people didn't want to have a bar of me. Others were just engaged for 5 or 10 seconds. I asked them what they did, had a bit of a laugh, and of the 80 attendees, 40 of them, I said, we should connect. We should connect on social media, LinkedIn, what have you. Those 40 people of 80, they will reappear in my life somewhere, in some shape or form, whether it's me connecting them with others, with them connecting with me. But for all of them, I've left that relationship in good form. All right. Culture. We've heard a little bit about culture today. And for good reason. So if you haven't realised yet, even after this conversation, relationships do matter. And when it comes to relationships, we are greatly influenced, I think Jason may have touched on this, whether we like it or not, by those closest to us. It affects our way of thinking, it affects our self-esteem, and it affects our decisions. So who are those 5 people that Jim Rohn talks about? Who are the mentors, the sounding boards, the inspiration, the people who respectfully challenge, that lift you and help you see opposing views and encouraging your creativity? So earlier this year, I read a book titled Tribe by Sebastian Junger. Has anyone read this? On homecoming and belonging. Has anyone read this book? If you haven't, write it down. It's not an Arbonne book. It's not a network marketing book. It's just a great book. It looks critically at post-traumatic stress disorder and the many challenges today's returning veterans face in modern society. What he realises is that the challenges of modern day society impact us all in a very similar way. So in an uber-connected world, and we've all got our phones out and I'm on live stream here and there, modern society has produced possibly the highest rates of depression, anxiety and loneliness in human history. We have lost real human connection. So why is this? I think there's definitely an evolutionary basis to this, and I think it is that we are hardwired to need community. And that's why I just love looking out at this, people sprawled across the floor. This feels comfortable to me. This feels comfortable, this feels right. We are hardwired to need community, we need connection, we need unification, we need to be part of something, we need to be part of a tribe. So has anyone in the room heard of the Dunbar number by chance? Anyone? Oh, yeah, there's a couple. So for those that hadn't, I'd only heard this about 12 months ago, but the Dunbar number, which is coined by a British anthropologist, Robin Dunbar, it is a widely accepted, suggested, cognitive limit to the number of people of whom one can maintain stable social relationships. Relationships in which an individual knows who each person is and how each person relates to the other person. So explained simply, it's the number of people you wouldn't feel embarrassed about joining uninvited for a drink if you happen to bump into them at the pub. With many of us having social media connections in the hundreds and sometimes thousands, how many of us can honestly say that we have genuine social relationships and connection with anywhere close to 150 people? I mean genuine. So the conversations you have, the connections you make, the people you surround yourself with, the culture you create become the tribe you belong to. Now, before you think, How do I network to grow my Arbonne business? Get good at talking to humans, building friendships, hang out with quality people, of which there's a shitload in the room, connect others to others, contribute to and be part of a community first before you decide to take from that community. So the questions are, who are the 5 people that you are the average of? Who needs to go? Who do you need to add? And how many more spots do you have in your Dunbar number? Because this is your tribe. And another little story on tribe. Kari and I mentioned this morning, we're pretty keen on CrossFit. And we joined a CrossFit community in Geelong CrossFit. And those of you know, CrossFit's reasonably tribal, like-minded people, very energetic, enthusiastic. And at this particular CrossFit gym, an Arbonne consultant prior to us had gone the rape and pillage approach to sort of polluting that community, that tribe with the business. And so we were very aware of this, very cognizant of this, and we made a point from day one with no agenda, just of introducing ourselves to that community, getting to know people, what they did, using their products, using their services, connecting them to other people, before we said anything about our business. Today, we are a genuine part of that tribe and community and have had countless opportunities to tell people what we do and for many, many people to now connect with us and use our businesses. This doesn't happen overnight. It came from being a trusted part and a contributor of that community, and we are definitely part of their 150. All right. For far too long, I believe that network marketing, direct sales, MLM, and its consultants have done a putrid job of telling the story of just how brilliant this business and this industry is. I believe this in part is as a result of a focus on networking for business outcome. So, like I said, networking for a business outcome, with product volume being weighted more highly than relationship building, and speed of success of a few promoted as the norm. Too many people have tried to tell a story they don't believe in, and a story that's not their own. So the story that people want to hear is your story. I wanted to hear Anthony's story. I want to hear everyone's story, your unique story. And in Kari's presentation today, she talked about exactly that, people being their unique self. So what is your story? Do you have a story? Of course you do. Do you know your story? So here's a tip. Write down all the achievements, not now, but write down all the achievements you've had in your life, in business, small ones, big ones, when it happened, who was involved, how did you feel, where did it lead you? Just as I did when I look back with the benefit of hindsight, look at the people you've met, the major life events that you've experienced, and you too will start to appreciate your own story. Now, as you start to build relationships, friendships, connections, and your tribe, you'll draw on these stories, your success. You'll add to them, you'll add people to them, and you'll add experiences to them. And remember that the good stories that you've heard are only good because you heard them. People want to hear your story. You need to tell them. So your ability to adapt to change, and we've heard a little bit about a change, but your ability to adapt to change and proactively make changes in your career is what will make a crucial difference to where you find yourself even just 5 years from now. And I think Kari checked my notes before she did her presentation, because I always use this exact same quote. But to quote Charles Darwin, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one that is the most adaptable to change. The world, the workplace, this industry is changing. You've heard the industry spoken about as the business of the 21st century. Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book with that title, and you've probably referred to that yourself. I have. But change and innovation has seen this business be almost unrecognisable from even the business that I joined 4 years ago. So we've got Facebook groups, we've got Insta stories, we've got virtual DAs, we've got nutrition products, new apps, new markets, new general managers, new policies. The list just continues to go on. And change is arguably the only constant. Change is arguably the only constant, and the pace of that change is accelerating. Your ability to embrace change, consider opposing views or ideas, and adapt and adjust course along the way is what will see you in this for the long game. Static beliefs and unwillingness to change in this industry will be costly and will see you out of the long game. I'd argue that in addition to change, I'll contradict myself, the only other constant is relationships. In my opinion, personal relationships will always matter, regardless of social media and social connections, because the day they don't is simply the day that I don't do this. If I can't have human connection, then I don't want to be in this business. So as we grow, learn, adapt in the next 10 years of the 21st century, do so around a foundation of personal relationships. Now, another story I heard, and I stole this from Rachel Barbunas. Kari and I were doing our notes for our presentation. Kari said, Rachel shared a story about our late founder, Peter Mork, that is definitely worth telling. So I might take a bit of poetic license here, but ENVP Anne Duggan told a story about how she once told Peter that she'd promoted to nation in just over a year. He looked at her and said, "This is not how I'd intended this business to work." He stressed that he wanted this business to be a business that people ran alongside their families, so they could build it up alongside their life and not have it take over. Peter wanted to bring balance and extraordinary opportunities to the everyday person through people helping people. Peter wanted you to play the long game. He wanted you to tell your unique story. He wanted you to be part of a community. He wanted you to build genuine long-term relationships, and he wanted you to create your own tribe. So our call to action. And I said right at the beginning that, what do I know? All I know is that I don't know, and that I'm learning, constantly learning about this business, about networking, about relationships, about business. We're all students. But for what it's worth, this is what I think you should do. Commit to the long term. So who in here is committed? Who in here is committed to the long term, the long game? Good. Know your story. At some point, you're going to need to share a bit of yourself. And it's great if you've already done a little bit of homework on your own story. So know your story. Write it down. Write your life history. Talk to people. So today, you're in a room of, 400 people. Introduce yourself today as you're walking out to someone that you've not met before. Where that person will cross your life in the future, you do not know. Next one. Ask good questions. Just ask a question. Talk to people. Ask questions. Who are you? Where do you come from? What are you doing? And remember, when you're listening to people, which is my next one, don't be afraid to make a record. One of the things, a little tip, whenever I've introduced myself to someone new and I think that there's some form of connection there, I'll make notes. I'll literally make notes about a person, about who they are, where they're from, their kids. Why? I don't know. One day they'll come back into my life and I know a little bit more about them. So connect with people. Look at all the people in the room. Again, you're surrounding yourself with good people. Connect with people. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do a Q&A today. That's probably my preferred method of talking to a group. But if you've got questions, if you want to ask a question, come and talk to me. Talk to the people that you actually want to connect with. You ask every single one of the NVPs in the room about what they did when they first started. They just bit the bullet and asked questions. They went up to people, they connected with people. So connect with people. Build relationships. Start today. Connect with others. And in connecting with others, the most valuable thing you can do, and I've mentioned it probably 2 or 3 times, is start with connecting others to others. So forget about yourself. Get to know other people and see how you can join the dots. You can connect the dots between other people that you actually know. Develop a culture. one that you're proud of and that has legacy. Build a tribe, one that will sustain you. Move ideas. I don't know whether Jason said this or a few people have said, but move ideas worth moving. If this isn't an idea worth moving, then I'll go, hey, the story hasn't been told well enough over time. It's our job to actually start moving this story, move these ideas. And commit to learning, unlearning and relearning. I forgot I swore before when there's kids in the room, but things are going to change. Stuff is going to happen. You need to roll with it. You need to embrace it. If anyone is... Oh, no, go back. I think, do we have a video? I think, yes, just before we put that on. So that's all for me today. I really appreciate everyone hanging around. I know we're going over time. If anyone does want to connect with me at any point, it's JAYBURKEEOE. So it's at JBurkeEOE. There's a SoundCloud on SoundCloud, obviously, on Arbonne's biggest opportunity being men, which I think is very relevant to the conversation we've had with the guys. My closing comments are from a fictitious character, but I think he pretty much sums up what it's taken me 25 minutes to say. He says it in about 60 seconds, so thank you very much.
The key to this business is personal relationships. I love getting up in the morning. I clap my hands and say, this is going to be a great day. Unless you love everybody, you can't sell anybody. Roll with the punches. Tomorrow's another day. If this is empty, this doesn't matter. Hey, I don't have all the answers. In life, to be honest, I've failed as much as I've succeeded. But I love my wife. I love my life. And I wish you my kind of success.